1. For a little bit of background info, at the time it happened, my friend and I were 18 years old, female, college freshmen. It's a long story, but I promise every part is necessary to understand it as a whole. This frightening situation happened during Thanksgiving break. My friend Angela and I were high school acquaintances, but got really close during college, since we were from the same city, and started interacting more because of the fact. Naturally, we carpooled to and from our university to our hometown, which is around 5 hours away by car. At the end of Thanksgiving break, we left around 11 p.m. to start our trip back. Around 3 hours in on the road trip, Angela, driver, tells me, co-pilot, that she's starting to feel a bit sleepy. So rather than stop in the middle of nowhere and change seats, I decide to talk to her and keep her busy. We get into a really deep conversation, etc. And for fun, we decide to Snapchat a little of the road trip with the flashlight on. I know, stupid. After laughing and Snapchatting, we see police sirens go on right behind us. Great, it's 2 a.m. and cops pull us over. They stayed in their car for a few minutes, which seemed odd, but oh well, we thought. As I see 2 of them walking towards us, they whispered something to each other, but didn't think anything of it then. One of them goes to Angela's window and the other to mine. "Hey there, ladies," the one by Angela's window says. "How y'all doing tonight?" With this creepy-ass smile. Non-suspecting Angela responds, "Good." She then asks what's the reason for pulling us over. "Going over the speed limit," he says. Mind you, we were Snapchatting right before he pulled us over, and Angela was purposely going a little under the speed limit to not crash and just be safe while we were on Snapchat. Confused, she just goes, "Okay," and asks if he needs any documentation, to which he responds no. While all of this is going on, the second cop by my window signals me to lower the window, and I oblige. He then starts making insinuating comments and gestures towards me. Example: pointing his flashlight towards my crotch while smiling, telling me how long my legs were, as an excuse to look at them because I'm wearing shorts. "Oh, and so it's just you two. I see. And what were you doing at this time in the middle of nowhere?" Amongst other things that honestly were not related at all to pulling us over, and out of the line for police officers to be asking. Then the first cop asks, "Y'all are in college?" To which we respond, "Yes. Actually, we're heading to university." I knew we fucked up there because they now know we weren't heading anywhere close. He then proceeds to say, "College girls, huh?" to the other cop again, with that eerie smile. Honestly, what the fuck? By this time we were beyond creeped out, and wanted to get out of the situation ASAP. But these creeps wouldn't let us go. They kept trying to make conversation while implying really weird sexual stuff. "Y'all know where we're at? There's a prison nearby here, you know. I sure hope nothing happens to you ladies. And do you think anyone would know if something happened to you here? All alone on the road?" All while smiling. I'm in shock and can't believe this is happening to us. These are the men we're supposed to trust and rely on? But here we were trying to free ourselves of them for our own safety. Wanting to finish this now, I ask, "Are we getting a ticket?" To which the cop by the driver's window says no, "But I'll give you a verbal warning." All as I feel the other cop staring right at me. He wrote something in his notepad and said, "Y'all be careful now. You wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you pretty ladies, ain't that right?" Then the officer next to me tries to open the door. The hell? Out of nowhere he tried to open the door, but thankfully the doors were locked, and my window wasn't low enough for him to reach in and manually unlock the door. After this I was in total shock, just staring at him while he just stared back. No explanation or anything. Angela quickly starts up the car, says thank you, have a good night, and speeds off. We didn't call our parents right then and there because it was the dead of the night, and we didn't want to worry them. But instead, Angela's boyfriend, who was already waiting for us at the university, and asked to be called and updated in case of anything. After driving in silence while constantly checking if they were behind us for about 30 minutes, I start talking to Angela. We both are shaken and speechless. I ask her why stop us in the first place if we didn't commit any infraction. Then we realized that they saw we were two girls because of the stupid flashlight I used while recording and pulled us over. They also probably stayed in the car before walking towards us to check if it was actually only us two, or something of the sort. They gave an uncomfortable aura, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were planning on raping us or worse. Honestly, I don't know what would have happened if the doors were unlocked, and wouldn't like to even imagine. So, lessons to learn. 1. Don't do road trips in the dead of the night, especially if you're girls. Don't unknowingly trust cops. There are good ones, as there are evil. 3. Always have someone know where you're at. 2. Last fall I was painting the side of my car, promptly fucked it up, and got irritated and needed to get some new perspective and fresh air. My solution was to fill up my Wendy's cup with beer and leave for a walk with my sketchbook, markers, and headphones. Above the Clouds was playing. Happy making was happening, right? Wrong. I lived a couple blocks away from the bike path, walked until I got to the underside of the overpass, climbed down near the creek. It ran alongside the bike path for miles. Found a place in the dirt to sit down, unpacked the black book, and started sketching. As I'm finally starting to relax and draw, this random guy I didn't see while I was walking down there jumps down off of the retaining wall and scares the fuck out of me. He turns around and looks just as surprised to see me and says, "Shit, I gotta pee. I'm sorry, I have to pee." I just stare at him for a second and yell back, "You're not fucking peeing over here, dude. Go way over there, away from me." He runs off in the direction I pointed, and I assume takes a piss. After a few moments, he walks out from behind the pillar and comes towards me. By this time, I'm like, okay, this body's jacked. Getting the fuck out of here now. I start putting my markers away in my backpack, and then the guy starts repeatedly apologizing for scaring me. He said he had no idea I was down there, and was having a pee emergency. Me being a person who will pee under a bridge if I don't have a way to a toilet, I understand his predicament, and put a friendlier face on. He introduces himself as Ian. He was an average height, thin-framed white guy with short red hair, freckles, and a blonde 6 o'clock shadow. His clothes seemed relatively clean. Cleaner than mine. I was covered in spray paint, dirt, and beer. He asks if he can see what I was drawing, and so I let him see my sketchbook. He starts flipping through the pages, and the way his face starts to change is hard to explain. He gets this intense glare in his eyes, and he turns the sketchbook over and flips through the pages backwards. He hands it back to me and says, "Why are you drawing my life?" I wasn't understanding him. Drawing his life? I don't know this man. I asked, "What? What do you mean, your life?" He said, "You're drawing my life, Rask. You don't know me. And you know the things I know that nobody else knows. You came to this spot. This is my spot." I said, "Well, I'm glad you like my art. I'll be going now." He starts to ramble on about the homeless camp across the creek under the side of the bridge, saying they didn't belong here, and they didn't deserve this place. Need I remind you, reader, we are underneath a fucking bridge in the middle of a city downtown, It is disgusting. There's nothing special about this place except for what I mistakenly perceived as a quiet, secluded place to draw. Also, I like the way the cars sound driving over me. So, being the jackass that I mockingly asked the creeper, "Why can't they be here if we are here? This isn't our bridge. It's nobody's bridge. Nobody's anything under here." He gets quiet for a moment, and then almost hisses out of his mouth, "I found the truth under this bridge." At this point, I was not only creeped out, but I was annoyed at this weirdo for fucking up my drawing spot and dissing the cab guys on the other side, like he was any better. In such a smart-ass tone, I said, "Oh really? And what's that?" "Well, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you. I am a 5'6", 125-pound woman. I have a rock. I picked up a rock. I'm kind of drunk. It is getting dark and I have a rock. Fuck. Fear. That's the word. So I decided to yell, "You really gonna say that shit to me under a fucking bridge? Are you serious?" And I swear to God, this guy had the most crooked smile on his face. And then, out of nowhere, it's about dusk now, so the underpass is getting darker by the minute, someone shines a flashlight from above us, and the guy freaks out and runs, saying, "Shit, it's the cops!" I ran out after him. I didn't want him behind me, and there wasn't anybody up there. No cop, nobody on a bike. I started back up the bike path toward my house, and he starts following me. I keep walking faster and faster, trying not to be confrontational, but also put across that I was not going to stay around. And then he says to me, "I know you know me. We were supposed to meet here today." Turns around, runs off back towards the park, off the bike path. I jogged back, stayed on the streets with people and lights. Fuck that guy, fuck bridges. Nope, fuck that, nope, nope, nope. Haven't gone back to the bike path since. 3. So let's start off with me. I am an 18-year-old female from Australia, 5'1", blonde hair, blue eyes, and reasonably attractive. This is ongoing. I am still going through it, and thinking about it now has me shaking while typing. I go to college in the city and live more in the country. It's about a 2-hour train ride to my college and a 30-minute walk. I had been going for about 3 months and everything was fine. About 2 months ago, this guy doesn't look like a bad guy. He's just an average-looking guy. One of those people who just blend in with the crowd. This guy isn't normal. Honestly, I don't know how to describe his mannerisms. He just has this off-putting persona that makes me nervous. Okay, so I'll go into the actual story now. The classrooms we can stay in after lectures to study in are very open, and they have glass doors and windows. I decided one day after one of my lectures that I was going to go and study in one of these rooms. So it's fine for about an hour or so, when all I can remember was feeling like I was being watched. I'm a very shy person, so if this happens I usually don't look up, and I just wait for it to go away, but I don't know. This stare felt different, colder somehow. I looked up, and there was this guy I've never seen before, staring straight at me, at the window entrance. I immediately looked back down, but I could still feel his stare, and after a couple of minutes, I look up again to make sure he's gone. But what do you know? He isn't. He's still there, staring at me with this strange look on his face. Honestly, you couldn't ask me to describe it. I kinda half smile at him awkwardly, and expect him to, I don't know, look away, move, smile back. But I get nothing, just blankness. So I decide to go to the bathroom, which was on the other side of the building. I wanted away from him. All I wanted to do was get away from him right then and there. So I packed up my things and left for the bathroom, not looking at him once. So as I was walking, I heard footsteps behind me, and I don't know how I knew out of thousands of students in my college, but I knew it was him. I wasn't going to the bathroom anymore, I just wanted to go home. So I got out of college quickly, and knowing very well he's right behind me, coming closer to me, then backing off, which continued all the way there. When I got to the station, I didn't want him to know my train, but I didn't know how to lose him, so my final thought was to try and trick him into thinking I'm not going on my train, then last minute getting on. I didn't know if it would work, but it was the only thing I have. So I'm waiting by the tracks now. He's standing right next to me, scaring me so badly. I'm shaking, almost crying. He is still staring at me. I feel it. This Indian lady who saw me shaking and glancing at him, and came and stood right next to me, between the two of us, blocking me from him, which I'm so thankful for. So the train comes, and everyone goes, and the doors are just about to close when I sprint into the train just in time. When I looked out the window, I saw him staring at me with such a rage I started to tremble. So much. I didn't realize I was crying until the same Indian lady came to help. So I got home, and I did tell my parents. Surprising on here, as no one does, but I needed to tell them. I just felt like I was going to burst. Once I told them everything, my parents, being extremely protective, rung the college and complained. But as we had no idea who he was, they couldn't really do anything about it. So, jump to next week. It's Thursday again, the day I go into college, and I've kind of forgot about the guy, but that was until halfway through the train trip, when I see him on one of the platforms. I immediately look away and try to hide my face with my hair. When I feel the train move, I look up, and he's standing in the aisle right in front of my chair. I almost screamed, I kid you not, but I compose myself and decide to text, honestly, everyone. My parents, my teacher who knew all this from college, 2 of my friends, and my boyfriend. Yes, a lot of people, but I was trying to get my mind off of him, standing there staring at me, and needed to talk to someone. Anyone, really. They all respond saying I should take a photo of him, but I didn't. I should have, I realize, but every time my brain told my arms to lift my phone up to take a photo, my arms wouldn't listen. It was like I was frozen to do anything. And then I missed my opportunity. The man next to me gets up, and now the guy is sitting next to me. My whole body is alert. My muscles are tense. My mind is spinning, and I'm sweating like you couldn't believe. I am terrified. I realize this doesn't make any sense. He hasn't done anything really bad for me to be so scared, but it was my body and mind telling me this guy is bad news. And he doesn't have good intentions. There was just something off about him from the get-go. So the first couple stops, he doesn't do anything but sit there. He isn't even looking at me, but then I feel it. That dead stare is back. And then he leans over to my side and he grabs some of my hair and sniffs it. I immediately pull my hair away and move almost on the window. I'm leaning so far away from him. And for the first time I look up at him and he's looking at me, but he's smiling. The smile was predatory and creepy and only extended when he spoke. I knew you would smell like strawberries. It's the innocence about you. I just looked at him like a deer caught in headlights. Then I heard in 2 stops I can get off. So I look away and put my earphones in with the music very low. I still feel him watching me, but I can't bring myself to look at him. Finally, which feels like forever, my stop comes up. I know he's getting off too, but at least I don't have to sit next to him. It's just like before, the walk up to college. He comes closer and backs off, and is just trying to scare me and creep me out. Which he succeeded. Once I'm in college, I go to my teacher who knows all of this, and I tell her what's happened, and her, being extremely worried, calls her husband, who's an ex-police officer, on what we should do. He says go down to the police station and make a complaint, so that's what we do. The two police officers I spoke to were very nice and understanding, and told me if anything else happens to immediately let them know, as I have made a report on him. When we get back to college, I try and forget about him, and listen to the lecture and do my essays. But I know in about 2 hours we're let out again, and he's going to be on the train again, and know where I get off, and maybe even follow me home. My mind is going through all these scenarios. So I message my boyfriend, and ask him if he's in the area at all, if he can pick me up in an hour or so. Josh, my boyfriend, is not in the slightest in the area, but he says he will come pick me up. I wait in the college rooms until Josh rings me, letting me know he's out the front. As I make my way to the front of the college, still on the phone with Josh, I see the guy, and he sees me and makes his way over. I book it, literally, to Josh's car, while telling Josh, who I'm still on the phone with. The guy's following me again. Okay, so backstory on Josh. Josh is pretty tall, and he isn't buff but has muscle, and he plays a lot of sport. He gives no shit about people's feelings. He's brutally honest about everything, and he will say what he thinks or feels, and doesn't care about potentially hurting someone's feelings. He had a bad home life, so it kinda progressed to if someone is bothering him, he will use his words or fists to get rid of the problem. Josh gets out of the car with me telling him to not do anything drastic, and to just go, but he is not listening. He is extremely protective of me, and all he cares about right now is to teach this guy a lesson. His words. Josh heads straight to this guy and pushes him back and says loudly, "Back the fuck up, cunt." I hate even writing that, it's disgusting, but I'm just saying what he said. The guy, who is taller than Josh, but has nowhere near as much strength as Josh, does back off and says, "What's the problem, friend?" Josh screams at him, making more of a scene. "I know you're following my girl. Don't play dumb. You have been following her, and I'm not playing around, fucker. You will stop now or I will kill you. I won't hesitate." The guy does not look even a tiny bit scared. All he does is just smiles again and says, "I understand. I apologize. She was just so pretty, like a little China doll. Do you like China dolls, friend?" My boyfriend kinda just looks at him for a second, then pushes him again and yells, "Fuck your China dolls, freak! Stay away from her." Josh gets in the car and we drive home with me yelling at him for creating a scene, and worrying if it made it worse, and him yelling about how much of a freak the guy was, and how I should move schools, and how he's driving me from now on. We both eventually calmed down, and talked rationally, which concluded that Josh was driving me to college, and will just stay in a cafe next to college for a couple of hours, doing work, until I am out, and then he drives me home. I don't see that guy much anymore, as I don't catch the train, and have been doing a lot of online classes, but when I do, he smiles and stares, and sometimes if we're passing each other, he will whisper, "Little China doll," and keep walking. It's creepy and scary, but hopefully nothing more will happen. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 114. Okay, just give you a quick update as to what's coming this week. True Scary Stories today, obviously you just listened to it. Coming tomorrow, let's see, that's Tuesday. I'm hoping for subscriber stories on the Tuesday. Wednesday, True Scary Stories again. Thursday might be a glitch video, or I've been noticing there's a lot of doppelganger stories. So I might actually do something that focuses on doppelgangers. Haven't decided 100% either way, but probably one of those two. Then Friday will be paranormal. Just about got enough for that anyway. I need 5. I've got 4 so far, so I should be alright. And Saturday I haven't decided on yet. Maybe TIFU, not set in stone, or I might start something fresh. We'll see. But don't worry if I don't do a TIFU this Saturday. They're not gone. I'm just taking a bit more time to make sure I can get the absolute best stories available. And sometimes, there are lots of stories posted every week, but I like to do the kind of funny ones, the embarrassing ones. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, and with that, I think we're done for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.